Yo, what is up guys, it's your boy Danny Plays here, back with another video. On today's video, I am here with another Spider-Man review video. So, I have covered all of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, from going all the way back from 2002 to 2007, from Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. And yeah, so today we're going to be looking at Mark Webb's Spider-Man, and also known as The Amazing Spider-Man, which is also called The Amazing Spider-Man. It's also a Spider-Man comic with loads of issues and all. And yeah, it's like, you know, it's a great comics and all like that. But yeah, as you can see here, we're actually looking at the Amazing Spider-Man here. This is actually not the Avengers one this time. So we're actually looking at the freaking Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. So yeah, but yeah, anyway guys, if you guys do enjoy today's video, if you make sure to smash the like button and subscribe, if you hit the little bell to miss the video I upload, but you guys don't have to do that whatsoever. So let's just get into the movie, I guess, then. So this movie was released back in 2012. It's, okay, let me just talk about Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man. Now, of course, there's such thing as an opinion. Some people think Andrew Garfield is the best Peter Parker. Some people think he's the worst Peter Parker. For me, I think he is an okay Peter Parker. I don't think he's the best interpretation, and I don't think he's good, and I don't really think he's bad. But I think he's okay. He has his good moments when he actually kind of feels like Peter Parker, and he has his bad moments when he doesn't feel like Peter Parker, from the comics, of course. And I know that sounds like I know a lot of Andrew Garfield fans are gonna hate me because I know a lot of people that love Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, but I also know a lot of people that do not that hate Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. So yeah. But anyway, of course I don't mind them, and there's also one other reason why I do actually don't mind them as well. It's fun fact, guys. This is the first. This might be very shocking to you guys, but this is the first introduction to me as a Spider-Man fan. Like this movie, The Amazing Spider-Man, introduced Spider-Man to me. I'm not even kidding. I know I'm a comic fan and all. And you're probably saying, oh, like if you start off with a movie, then how are you technically a comic fan? You don't have to. You can start off in a movie and then read the comics, And that's when I started getting into Marvel, like trying to read a little bit more about it, so like get comics and all. And yeah, so this is the first. This movie was the first introduction to Spider-Man for me, which is crazy. And of course, at the time, I did love Andrew Garfield a lot more because I was like, oh my god, how is he able to like do backflips and all? How is he able to do front flips? Because it was the first movie at the time I was watching, I was like, how the hell is he able to crawl walls and spin webs? But of course, then that makes no sense now because it's a superhero movie. And I think that I hate when people say is oh, the movie's not realistic. If that's like, people say that if the movie isn't realistic. The movies don't have to be realistic, guys. I don't say that. Movies are a fictional thing. Some of them can be based on true stories, but you can put any like kind of thing in you want like there. Just say you're creating a Spider-Man movie, let's just say, and you put like a lion as the villain or something. We don't really know any lion characters from the comics now that are enemies of Spider-Man, and then people would go like, oh no, that's not comic accurate. There is no lion villain in the story in the comics and all. But who gives a crap? Like, go for it. Like, just do any villain you want. Create any villain, like, But yeah, anyway, let's go back to The Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, Peter Parker, Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker is okay for me. Now, personally, actually, this is my favorite love interest of any of the Spider-Man franchise. Maybe in the comics as well. I do love MJ because she is a good one in the comics, but let's just talk about Gwen Stacy, because Gwen Stacy, I absolutely love Gwen Stacy in this movie, played by Emma Stone. And yeah, what's called Gwen Stacy is my favorite. I know a lot of MJ fans are gonna hate me because MJ is like the original love interest for Peter, but I do love Gwen Stacy. My favorite love interest for Peter is Gwen Stacy. I don't know why, but I just love Gwen Stacy and Peter together, especially the chemistry between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. Because, fun fact actually, if you guys didn't know, from making this movie, Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield actually got together in real life, but then they later broke up. But yeah, this movie actually got them to fall in love with each other in the movie and and in real life as well, which is crazy. But yeah, like I said, they broke up. But yeah, it's so awkward when Peter and Gwen talk in this movie. It gives you just like the how awkward they feel around each other because they like each other, and that just gives me like good feeling for some reason. I'm just like, come on, you guys, we get it. Like, you like each other, just tell each other now, and get it over with. And but yeah, like they're just so cute on screen together. I love like the chemistry between the both of them. And yeah, it is sad, of course, what happened at the end of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I'll talk about that when I'm reviewing that movie tomorrow. And yeah, so yeah, so I do like Gwen Stacy in this movie, and yeah, and Amazing Spider-Man 2, of course, as well. But anyway, Aunt May. Okay, so people at first, and when people heard that Aunt May was going to be played by a young actor, well, she's kind of young. People started hating on the people who made the movie because people said that this Aunt May is too young to play Aunt May. Like Aunt May, of course, Aunt May in the comics is usually an old woman, not like really kind of young, because this Aunt May is young in this movie. So like people were like saying, oh, why isn't Aunt May young? I mean, why isn't Aunt May old? Like she's supposed to be old in the comics. But like I said before, like go for it. Like just go for it. Like it doesn't have to be comic accurate whatsoever. Like make Spider-Man not even have a suit for it. I don't even care if he doesn't have a suit. Like just well the suits make the movie's good, but just do it. Just do it. Make Spider-Man Iron Man for something. I don't know. Just do it. Like that's what I hate about people when they say like, oh yes, this is not a good movie because not comic accurate stuff. But it doesn't have to be comic accurate. It's a movie. It's not the comic. We're not looking at a comic right now on the big screen. Well, it's a comic based movie, but no. So yeah, Aunt May. Well, also by the way, Aunt May in Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah, I know why people were mad about this Aunt May, because we get a younger Aunt May in Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man. So no one got mad about that, but yeah. Let me talk about Uncle Ben, I guess. Uncle Ben is in this movie. And I think I hate if they didn't do the original line. If you guys remember in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, the Uncle Ben in that movie said that with great power comes great responsibility so well. It became like iconic and all. But in this movie, he says it a little differently, and I don't even know how he says it anymore. I don't know. Like it's not memorable at all. He goes like, I don't know. Like I'll try to explain what he said. He goes like, well, like, if you have the power to do something, you have the responsibility or something like that. I don't know. He should have just said with great power comes great responsibility, but they decided to change it up a little. And I do not like how Uncle Ben kind of dies in this movie, because it is kind of the same thing as the comics and all, but they kind of change it up a little. They make Peter be mad at Aunt May and Uncle Ben because he got in trouble for by Uncle Ben by not picking up Aunt May at the I don't know where she was again, but she was like somewhere and she needed to be picked up by someone, and it was supposed to be Peter's job, so he got in trouble by Uncle Ben. So yeah, Peter gets mad at Uncle Ben and Aunt May, and then because he has powers and now not like that. I'll get to that in a minute. How he got his powers, I don't really like that either, but I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, he storms out of the house, breaks the door by an accident because of his powers, and yeah, then I don't know. This is not kind of Peter Parker to me. This is not Peter Parker. This is not something Peter Parker would do. I know you got. This is what's kind of bad about me as well. I literally just said that a few minutes ago. Like it doesn't have to be comic accurate, but I feel like the personality kind of does. But let me just get okay. It doesn't matter. Just forget what I said. Okay. I have to backlash on this movie a little, but it's a great movie, by the way. Just that. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, I don't really like why Peter usually wanting to storm out of the house and just say and have a fight with Uncle Ben. I know he does in the Tobey Maguire movie and sometimes in the comics before Uncle Ben dies, but nah, I don't think I'd like this way that Peter is going in this one. He just leaves the house and runs away. So anyway, then Peter goes to the shop to pick up some milk or something, and then the shopkeeper is being mean to him, saying because Peter doesn't have enough money to pay for it, he says, you don't have enough money to pay for it, and then Peter gets pissed and just walks out. And then this is the carrying of this movie. The one who killed Uncle Ben is behind Peter in the line, and robs the shopkeeper. And what I think is kind of a nice scene is even though the bad guy is a bad guy, of course, Carradine still picks up Peter's milk and shows it to him. He's like, yeah, there you go, kid, enjoy. But yeah, anyway, so Uncle Ben is looking for Peter on the streets, and what I think is a dumb way to kill Uncle Ben. The killer runs into Uncle Ben, and Uncle Ben sees the gun on the ground and tries to pick it up for some reason. I don't know why he just avoided it. I know Uncle Ben's like a hero kind of character, but just leave it alone, man. And then he tries to pick it up, and then he gets shot. And that's how Uncle Ben dies. It is kind of sad again how Uncle Ben dies though as well, because Peter goes over to his body and he's all bloody and all. He's like, oh, Uncle Ben, and he's like, someone call an ambulance, but no one can hear him, which is kind of sad. And then he learns that, and then the police come over to his house to inform Aunt May and tell him that this is the killer, Caroline. And then Peter, of course, recognizes his face, the one who gave him the milk and all like that, and robbed the shop. If Peter wasn't, he said to himself, if Peter wasn't selfish, he could have stopped the robber, but because he was angry at the time, he couldn't stop the robber. And yeah. So then we get to Spider-Man's origins kind of in the story. I don't really like how he gets his powers. Usually it's Peter going to a field trip, on a school field trip, and then getting bit by a radioactive spider. I mean, it's kind of the same thing, but not at the same time. He's not on a school trip this time. He just sneaks it, which I think is a dick move, by the way. He steals someone else's VIP thingamajig, like, to get into Oscorp, the trip or something, a trip on, and Peter goes into Oscorp, steals someone's ticket, I guess, to go, like, to go on a tour of Oscorp, and then that guy gets kicked out because he didn't have the ticket because before Peter stole it. He's like, okay, this is my ticket now, thank you. And that's such a dick move from Peter, like. But yeah, and coincidentally, Gwen Stacy works at Oscorp, and then yeah, they talk a little, saying, Gwen says, why you doing here? And yeah, they kind of flirt a little bit, and then yeah, Peter follows these shady guys into a room. Well, no, they don't go into the room, but they leave the room, and then Peter sees what the code was and all to get into the room, and then Peter goes into the room, sees a bunch of science stuff, goes into a different kind of room connected to the room that he went in, and he sees a bunch of spiders in there. Now, this is really dumb to do Spider-Man's origins, because there is like millions of spiders in that room. There isn't one, there's just millions of spiders in that room. And how didn't no one ever get bit by any of those spiders? I know they have like the people, the staff that at Oscorp go in there with like special suits on and all to keep them safe. But like someone had to have gotten bit by one of those spiders. Like there has to be like a million Spider-Mans around town now. There can't just be one now. Like, but yeah, anyway, Peter gets bitten by one of them, freaks out. Well, actually, he gets bitten like by loads. Loads of them come onto his like body, and he's like, get off. But yeah, I'm just confused why no one else got bit by the spider. Like, billions of people go into that room, and then no one gets bit by the spider and turns into Spider-Man. Only one person. Like, what? And, yeah, so Peter then wakes up on a subway train. I think this is a funny thing what happened is because, he starts getting, like, assaulted by these guys, kind of, well, they keep, like, Peter kind of keeps, because he has powers now, Peter keeps messing up things, if that makes sense, and which I think is a pretty weird scene. Peter rips off a girl's top in the subway, and then the men start to get angry and then try to attack Peter, but because he has powers, he wipes their, like, he kicks their ass. And he, by the way, it's really funny because he kicks their asses like accidentally. He doesn't know how to use his powers yet, and then his powers are just kicking their ass for him. He's like, what's happening? And then he just kicks the guy in the face. He's like, well, I didn't do that. And then it's like, so it's a funny thing because he's not even like controlling himself, I guess you could say. He's just being controlled, like he's just like fighting people that he doesn't want to fight. And it's a really funny scene. Oh yeah, Spider-Man, Peter Parker is also a skateboarder in this movie. Peter is not really usually a skateboarder in the comics, but I actually do like that he's a skateboarder. That's pretty cool. I guess I could talk about the Spider-Man suit. A lot of people actually don't like the Spider-Man suit in this movie, but I actually, because, well, the reason that people don't like it is because it's like, you know, look at it right here on the screen. It's dark and all. It's kind of look like a dark version of Spider-Man. And yeah, so, and then in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, they lightened the suit up a bit. But I actually like the suit more than the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit, because this suit actually kind of looks fresh. I don't know why, it looks so cool. Anyway, I guess I could get to the villain of the movie, which is one of my favorite Spider-Man villains of all time, which is Kurt Connors, the Lizard. Yeah, he's not exactly a bad guy. He just accidentally, in the comics, he just accidentally turns himself into a giant lizard. Yeah, should I say I'm like, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? A cannibal lizard, I guess you could say. And yeah, so yeah, I do like the villain in this movie. I like that Peter actually helps Kurt Connors come up with a formula to grow his arm back, but then of course it accidentally turns him into a giant lizard. And yeah, so Peter kind of creates his own monster here, which I like. And George Stacy is in this movie, which is Gwen Stacy's dad. He works for the police. I like this. I like the scene between Peter and him. It's so funny, especially the dinner table scene where George Stacy is talking about Spider-Man and how he shouldn't be in the streets because people can't trust vigilantes and all. And then because Peter's Spider-Man, he tries to kind of protect himself. So he's just like oh no, I think he's trying to do good. So I think he's trying to do something that the police can't. And he says that, and then George says something the police can't. Like, do you think we just sit in our asses and eat donuts all day? No, good. It's like no, I'm sorry, but like listen, and then they start arguing and all. And then yeah, that's a good. I like the scenes with them. And what's the other scene I want to talk about? I forgot what I was going to talk about. Oh yeah, I guess I should also talk about the homemade suit. It's so trash. If you guys know the human spider from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, that was actually an okay suit. I like Tom Holland's homemade suit, but Andrew Garfield's homemade suit is just like a red mask, plain mask, with a hat on top of it, and he has glasses on, and that's and he only has a jacket. He doesn't have any like suit on. It's such a bad homemade suit, but yeah. At least it does kind of look realistic though, but yeah. I like the swinging scenes. The swinging scenes are some of the best scenes in this movie, especially when he creates the good suit, like the one we're looking at right now. But when he creates that suit, he's like, we see his POV, which means point of what? Wait, why did I forget? I just forgot the word. But his point of view. Like, oh yeah, point of view. Sorry, his point of view. And yeah, we see it, and then we see him jump off the building and land on another building, and we could see his reflection through the glass building, and it looks so freaking badass and like and all of that. So yeah, then we see Spider-Man go around town the city, of course, trying to find Uncle Ben's killer, because that's what he tries to do mostly in this movie. And of course he can't do it, and he can't find the actual killer. But anyway, let's get to some of the boss battles. Let's get to some of the actual main villain fights with the lizards between Spider-Man and the lizards. So the first fight scene isn't really a good fight scene because it's not really a fight scene whatsoever. So Peter sees that there's trouble at the bridge. He jumps off of Gwen Stacy's balcony, and Gwen Stacy does a funny joke there because before Peter jumps off the balcony, the both of them kiss. And she's like, my mom's gonna kill me, because he jumped off like the building and all, and it's like, I don't know if you guys get it, but yeah. So this fight scene isn't really a fight scene. I do kind of don't like that the first fight is like the first time they meet isn't a fight scene. Well, it is a good moment anyway. So what happens is Peter gets into a Spider-Man suit, swings in and kicks Lizard, and then Lizard's just like, what the hell happened? And also Lizard was throwing cars off the bridge that were about to land in the river, but Spider-Man webbed them and saved everyone. But then Lizard just runs away, and then Peter's like, what the hell was that? And then Peter sees that someone asking for help because their kid is stuck in one of the cars. And yeah, so Spider-Man goes to try to save the kid, which I think is this is one of my favorite scenes of the movie. So because the kid gets scared because he thinks Spider-Man is a bad guy, but then Peter pulls off. This is like, I love when I kind of do like when Spider-Man is identity revealed sometimes, but I do not like it sometimes, but I do like it most times. But anyway, yeah, Peter takes off his mask and reveals that he's only human. He's not like a monster or anything. And then he tries to, says he said we'll get you out of here and all, and then the car starts getting on fire, and then Peter just has to hold the car with his hand now. He's barely hanging onto the car, and then the kid was holding onto the mask before the car dropped, of course. And then Peter said, "Put the mask on; it'll make you strong." And I actually, this is why I love this scene, because the reason Peter said that the mask will make you strong is because Spider-Man is like a great symbol to kids. He inspires people. He inspires me a lot to be a greater person. And yeah, so Spider-Man. That's why Peter knew that the kid would be able to climb up to him when he put on the mask, because Spider-Man is a very great inspiring symbol to the good people of New York, and not the people of New York either, but every country. And yeah, so I actually love that scene. And then of course the kid is climbing, but then Peter loses grip of the car. But of course Peter they don't want the movie to go too dark, so Peter webs the kid and he saves him. And I love the scene as well. Peter's looking at the father and the kid reuniting, and they're like, like, are you okay? Because they're father and son. And then Peter sees this, and he just looks so sad because he lost Uncle Ben, and Uncle Ben was like a father to him. And yeah, so he does feel sad, and that's what Peter has to struggle with in his life mostly anyway. Uncle Ben's death. So yeah, that's sort of a heartwarming scene anyway. So then the dad asks, "Who are you?" And then I like the scene as well. Peter just goes like, "I'm Spider-Man," and then he webs off to his house. And then this is another good scene, is after that bridge scene, he goes to his house and he's still wearing the Spider-Man costume, but he has his mask off, and his mask is just on the ground, and he's just looking at it. And what Spider-Man was originally doing is he was trying to just look for Uncle Ben's killer. But then when he saved the kid, he thought that he could actually use his powers for good instead of just for his own selfish reasons. So yeah, so that's when Peter knew that he should actually help people instead of helping himself. So yeah, that's when Spider-Man, I guess, kind of fully comes alive. So yeah, and then Peter and Gwen go to baseball game. I don't know why they go there, but they're talking, and Gwen's like, "Why do you be Spider-Man? You're risking your life." And then Peter's like, "I have to stop the lizard dudes because people could get hurt," but he says it's his responsibility. And yeah, I like that. I like this. Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield are so cute together. But yeah, what's called? So yeah, this comes to the second kind of fight scene then, which is a very short fight scene, but it's an okay fight scene. Is Peter goes down to the sewers as Spider-Man, of course. He's playing a game on his phone because he's waiting for a lizard to show up. But yeah, then it's a very creepy. Lizard is a very creepy villain in this movie because Peter hears his webs because he has webs all over the place to try like bait lizard in. So yeah, the webs start like moving and all, but then he's like scared. What? He's just like, "Oh my god, this lizard's coming!" But then it's only little lizards, not the actual big lizard, the villain. And then out of nowhere, he follows the little lizards, and then a tail disappears from the ceiling, and then lizard just comes and jumps at Spider-Man from the ceiling, and he's like, "Oh my god, please don't hurt me!" And then it scared me it kind of scared me as I was younger, and I don't know why I just made that weird sound, by the way. I don't. Let's ignore that, please. Anyway, so yeah, Lizard says to Peter, "You stopped me once, but you won't stop me again. I'm getting stronger every day." And then he curls on him, and then he gets out with long nails, I guess the lizard does, and scratches Peter in the chest, which gives him really bad, like, blood on his chest and all. And then Peter tries to run away, and he does run away, because he's still kind of scared in the role of Spider-Man. And yeah, Lizard's mad that he got away, but yeah, Peter does get away, and he's like, "Oh my god, I sucked her." And then yeah, then Peter actually left his camera in there, and for some reason he has his name on the camera, so Lizard picks up the camera and it says on it, "Property Peter Parker." So Lizard straight away knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So yeah, and breaks the camera. So then comes to the school fight, I guess. I don't really remember much of it anyway, but this is okay. I'm not gonna lie either. This is one of the best fight scenes of all time, in my opinion. I remember actually I recreated the scene for some. I mean, I wasn't actually in school recreating the scene fight with my friend or anything, but I was like, I was like pretending I was there. Like, do you guys ever like see an epic scene and you're like pretending that you're to see Spider-Man like absolutely wrecking a villain or something? Do you ever just like pretend that you're Spider-Man doing that right now? And that's what I did when I was younger. So yeah, the school fight is one of the best fight scenes in my opinion in any movie. It's so iconic to me. And what happens is Lizard comes out of the toilet because he lives in the sewers and he stinks. So yeah, Peter's just living his normal day in class or in school. He's just opening his locker, and he tells Gwen Stacy to run away because the lizard is dangerous. And yeah, so he actually, what I think is kind of ballsy of Peter as well. He doesn't even try to run away and get into his Spider-Man suit first, because he literally just walks toward Lizard, and all of the students in the school are like, "What the hell is that kid doing?" He's running towards the giant lizard man eating thing, whatever. And then yeah, so I don't really know why people don't know he's Spider-Man there, but yeah. Anyway, so Peter webs his leg and makes him fall down, tries to punch him, fails, and then Lizard throws him through a wall, and then, which I think is kind of creepy as well, Lizard steps on his hand so he can't really move, and then he's like, nowhere to hide, Peter, and then tries to scratch at him. And I think which looks pretty painful as well. What happens is, because they're in like a science class when they're fighting right there, and then Lizard throws him into another wall again, and like throws a chemical at him, and like it explodes, and it's like looks so painful. But then anyway, Lizard's talking about that he can save people. We don't know his planning yet at the time, but I'll tell you his plan in a minute. But he says that he can save people and all like that. And he's like, no, there's no reason to stop me, Peter. And then because Lizard threw him into a wall, Peter also picked up his bag before he threw him into the wall. So he changes into a Spider-Man outfit and webs like these electric things at him, which hurt him, and then he just disappears out of nowhere. Nani. And then he starts attacking Lizard, of course, and then he says that you're not thinking straight, Doc, this isn't you. And yeah, they start having a fight scene. Peter starts doing some banter, like usual, Spider-Man stuff right there. And then they start being, like, they keep beating the shit out of each other for a while. And then, which is a pretty gross scene, what happens is, Spider-Man has Lizard's tail, because Lizard's tail fell off. And he's like, oh, disgusting, but because he's a lizard, he can regrow his limbs. So he just regrows his tail, and he's like, okay then. And then, when Lizard is about to kill Spider-Man, what's called Gwen Stacy comes in with the save and hits Lizard in the head with a trophy. That wouldn't help whatsoever, but it actually kind of does because it saves Peter. And then Lizard is about to kill Gwen Stacy, but then of course Spider-Man comes in for the save, and then I don't know, this looks so like good for some reason. Spider-Man just webs him up, and it looks so cool. You guys are just gonna have to see the scene for yourself if you haven't ever seen it. But it looks so cool. So yeah, then when Lizard is webbed up for a little while to keep him occupied, Peter grabs Gwen and says, "I'm gonna throw you out the window now." And she's like, "What the?" he literally throws her out the window, but because he doesn't want her to die, he webs her. So yeah. But yeah, then Lizard breaks out of the webs. And this is, again, one of my favourite Spider-Man quips of all time. Spider-Man says, well, Lizard hears the police sirens first, but then Peter says, uh-oh, somebody's been a bad lizard. And I love that quip so much. That was such a good quip. And then we get into, they start fighting again, and then we have a Stan Lee cameo with him just playing music, so we can't hear Spider-Man and Lizard fighting in the background, and then he doesn't even know that he's in danger, Stan Lee doesn't, so he's about to get hit by a table, but Spider-Man saves him. And yes, and Stanley just walked out of the room. We miss you, Stan. You were so great, Stan. Thank you so much for building all these great characters and like giving us great memories. Stanley was the best. But yeah, then anyway, Lizard throws Spider-Man into a bookshelf, and then Lizard for some reason doesn't finish the job, just runs away. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go. But yeah. So then Peter follows him back to his lair. He's not there, of course, but of course Peter has to go into the sewers, and he finds out what the Lizard's plan is, and I don't know how to feel about this plan. It's kind of stupid, but I guess I kind of like it, but it's kind of stupid. So what the Lizard wants to do is he wants to grab this formula thing and then throw it on the highest building in New York, and then it will like launch and it will turn everybody into lizards, giant lizards, and then he thinks he's helping people because the lizard formula makes you stronger, better, faster, and all like that, and more intelligent. So Lizard thinks it's a good thing to make everyone lizards to have the same power and intelligence as him. So yeah, but of course he's doing something evil. So yeah, so he accidentally, of course, well, not of course, but Spider-Man accidentally sent Gwen Stacy to Oscorp, but that's where the Lizard is going, and he wants to try get to Gwen before Lizard gets to Gwen and kills her. So yeah, because he sent Gwen to Oscorp to get like a cure for the lizards and like that, all like that. And then yeah, so Spider-Man is just swinging around town trying to get to Oscorp before Lizard turns everyone else into lizards, and Lizard already gets to start turning everyone into lizards because he has this like formula already, and then these SWAT people are trying to fire bullets at him, but because he's a lizard, bullets don't do anything to him, so he shoots gas at them, and then they turn into lizard. But we don't see them like get up and turn into full lizard. We just see their skin turn into lizards, but we don't actually see them turn evil, I guess, and help try to kill Spider-Man. They just lie there for a while to say, oh yeah, I'm a lizard just lying here, just chilling, bro. But yeah, well, because the police think Spider-Man is a villain, they try and hunt Spider-Man down, but of course Spider-Man is trying to do the good thing to stop the lizard. But this is a good scene as well. Spider-Man gets shot by a taser, and then he falls to the ground. By the police, of course. And then he's on the ground, and they unmask him, but they don't see his face yet. But Peter starts to beat the shit out of the guards, except one, which is George Stacy, Gwen Stacy's dad. And what's called Peter turns around, and George sees it's Peter, and he's like, "What, Peter? You're Spider-Man?" And then Peter says, "I have to stop the lizard because you know your daughter's there, and so I have to go save her and all." And yeah, and then he lets her go. He lets him go. He's like, "Okay, go." But then a cop accidentally shoots Spider-Man in the leg because he thinks he didn't hear George's thing there where he said don't fire. But yeah, anyway, this is a very scary scene for me as well. This scared me when I was younger, but it doesn't scare me anymore, of course, because, you know, big boy. Okay. Anyway. But Lizard was in Oscorp, and Gwen was hiding, and I heard noises like kind of like his footsteps and Lizard breathing, I guess. And Gwen was just hiding in a vent. Pretty sus, my guy. And yeah, so then Lizard just pops out of nowhere in front of Gwen, and then she just screams, and it always used to jump scare me. Like, it was so scary for me for some reason. But yeah, anyway, so because Spider-Man got shot in the leg, he's struggling to swing around the city because he's really badly injured. But this is a beautiful scene now. So these crane guys that, of course, like working cranes and all, see that Spider-Man is injured and that he needs help to swing on buildings and all to get to Oscorp. So they just set him up with some cranes to swing on, and then he swings on them. But yeah, and then Spider-Man gets to Oscorp. And he sees that Lizard is about to put the formula in to turn everyone else into lizards. But Peter swings in, kicks Lizard, and they both fall. This looks painful as well. They both fall into a light, and it explodes, and it looks so painful. And then yeah, so they start brawling, fighting a bit, and then yeah, and then they just fight, and then Lizard gets the advantage, takes off Spider-Man's mask, and again, of course he knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but he just wanted to take off his mask for some reason, I don't know why. And also, what I think is pretty cool as well is Lizard breaks Spider-Man's web shooters. Yeah, there is web shooters in this one, I forgot to mention that. Which look really cool, by the way. But anyway, yeah, so Lizard breaks Spider-Man's web shooters, and so they can't work anymore. And this is a pretty sad scene for Peter, but Lizard says, "Poor Peter Parker," in a very, like, weird voice, but cool voice. He says, "Your mother, your father, your uncle, all the love." He's also, like, you know, he's referring to all the people that have died in Peter's life, and which makes Peter pissed. But then my boy freaking George Stacy comes down here and he's saying, he's not alone, and then shoots Lizard, and then he actually like kind of damages Lizard, and then he gives Peter the cure to cure the lizard people, and he says gift from Gwen, and then George says he got this, he'll keep shooting the lizard and all, and when you go cure the people that are returned into lizards. And then, yeah, Peter climbs up to the very top to put in the formula. But then, the lizard starts regrowing his limbs again, and then, which I think is a sad scene, the lizard kills George Stacy. And then he sees that Peter's about to put the formula in to cure everyone. So he's about to, Lizard is about to climb up there and stop him. He actually nearly does stop him. At the last second, Peter puts the formula in, and then, Lizard thinks he's done it because he sees, that the thing launched, but then he sees this blue smoke and he's like, oh crap, I failed. And then he starts turning back into Kirk Connors, into the human again. So he's not the lizard anymore. And then because Kirk Connors was never a bad guy, all he wanted to do was try to regrow his limbs, but he turned himself into a lizard. He was never a bad guy, but he says that he accidentally killed the captain as a lizard. So Peter goes to see the captain, which is George, by the way. And then yeah, George dies, but he said before he died, he said promised me one thing, is to keep Gwen out of it so she stays alive and she never dies or anything like that. And then Peter says, I promise, but then he later breaks that promise, saying, well, he first breaks up with Gwen, but then he's like, actually, never mind, let's get back together. And he breaks Captain Stacy's promise, and yeah. That's basically the end of the movie then. Because this movie is so iconic to me, I'm going to give this movie actually a 7 out, no, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. This is a great movie. It has its bad moments, it has its good moments. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on the Amazing Spider-Man released in 2012. If you guys did enjoy my video, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe for the little bell so you don't miss no video I upload, but you don't have to do that whatsoever. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.